Stephen Squibbs presents this month's board certification tip.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and now it is time for our November board cert tip of the month. And with us today, we have a very special guest, Russell Frank, who's out of Orlando and one of the most recent recipients of Family Law Board Cert. Russ, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
And Russell, I think you've been a Florida attorney since like 2006 and started off in criminal and then came over to private and started family. And now you're doing all family in juvie, right?
That's right. I started my career in Washington, D.C., spent a couple years there, and then moved back to Florida, where I'm from, in 2006, and then started doing some criminal defense work at that time.
So welcome to family law, and
Yes.
congratulations on doing what is a pretty significant task, passing the board cert, passing peer review. It's not just a test. It's really a thorough background analysis that you have to go through. When folks take it, chances are they know going into it, they're not going to pass just due to the math of it. And that's psychologically really challenging for some people. So first, what made you want to do this, and why did you make this a priority in your life?
Well, I thought about it once I had done about 5 or 6 years just in family law. I thought about it. I had a conversation with another attorney that was board certified in another area, and they had indicated, you should give it a shot once you get there. So it was really about a 2-year process for me. I had the credits and everything like that. I just wanted to make sure I had enough time to devote to the test and to the application process. Because the application, I spent several months getting that together, reaching out to folks, making sure that was in line, obviously, before I could even think about the test.
The application is pretty daunting, and we recommend that you get it immediately. You can just download it and keep track of your cases as you go along, because it requires a lot of statistical information. Every case you have to say who the opposing side was, who the attorney, the judge was, what issues you litigated, what issues you settled, case names, when it was started, when it was finished. So it's a lot easier if you keep that information contemporaneously than going back in time and trying to recreate it. So when you decided to take the test, how did you approach the studying process?
Well, what I've learned from talking with other attorneys in different fields is that I guess we're somewhat lucky, I guess, in family law, in that we have the board certification review course every year. I guess not every area has that. So that was, I go to that almost every year. So of course I went this year, and I thought the virtual process of it this year actually was kind of helpful for me, only because I didn't lose time to socializing outside, or unnecessary stretch breaks or things like that. So I feel like I got more of the program than I have in the past, and I think that was a benefit to me. So once I got to the review course, got the books, that's really when I started studying. So it was probably a good month and a half, 2 months of studying, and I'm a flashcards guy. I've sort of always have been. So the way I approached it was that I read every single book. I read the 3 volumes of the review books, took notes from there, and then from the notes made flashcards into different sections and mini sections, and then just started drilling down on the flashcards and then reading some of the case law from some of the areas I thought might need more studying and more research into, some of the equitable distribution, the coverture fracture, those sorts of things that I just wanted to make sure I had a better understanding of. But it was mostly flashcards, and I reviewed those quite a bit, and then just did that on the nights and weekends. So I didn't really stop working too much. I wanted to keep my regular practice going as much as possible. So I was able to carve out time on nights and weekends to do the flashcards, review the flashcards, and then take the few sample questions that they did offer, go through those, several times, making sure I had thought out all the different scenarios and answers and things like that.
Yeah, it's not just the memorization of this information, but those essay questions really call for you to apply the knowledge and really figure stuff out. And we always tell people, when you have a big essay question, go straight to the call to the question, which is at the very end, and it is really what the test examiner is asking you. Read that first, then read the whole big fact pattern, and that way you kind of have a little bit more direction as to where all the stuff is going. And it's real fun to put red herrings in these test questions that have nothing to do with the answer, but just because it looks like a hot issue, it attracts you and potentially distracts you. So yeah, read that call to the question at the very bottom of the essay questions. And pretty much each section is worth the same. You have some essay questions, true, false, multiple choice, and you have your ethics, which is kind of pass or fail. You have to just find the ethics issues. Would you say you have to know everything there is to know about family law to pass this test?
I mean, it's probably hard to learn everything, but I think that, I think with the review books and the sort of the advice you get through the process with the review course, I think there are some good areas that you can focus on and learn much of everything in those areas. And I think that's going to be extremely helpful. Yeah.
And they give you the core and the subcore topics. And really that's all they tell you. Study the stuff, and you have to know it really well. Do you think that, do you think the test was unfair? Or do you think it was just challenging enough that if you're going to call yourself an expert, this is what you have to do?
It was fair. I thought it was fair. It'd been, I think, about 15 years since I last took a big test or a bar exam. So it was a little bit difficult getting back into study mode, but I thought it was fair. And I agree that, it's supposed to be tough, I think. And as my old basketball coach used to say, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it.
Right. And right now you probably know more about family law than you will ever know in your entire life. So,
yeah.
It's a good crash course. Is there any particular advice that someone gave you that really, now after you took the test, you can see really helped you and or put things in perspective for you, or anything of that nature?
Looking back now, it's probably easier for me to say, but it's always good to not overdo it and not get burned out during the process. Like I said, I tried to maintain my practice and found time on weekends and evenings, but didn't let it completely dominate everything. Still found some time to go out and have a little fun, which is a little more difficult with the pandemic, but trying to take your mind off things, whether that's just watching a movie or something like that. It's important, I think, to keep it in perspective and try and have some normalcy as well.
I guess if you're going to take a test like this, the year of the pandemic is a good time to queue it up. So you don't have I know when I took the test 15, 16 years ago, and being pulled in all different directions, including having little kids and starting a new firm. But you just jump in and you take it. And I didn't think I was going to pass my first year, and I got lucky I did. And since then, it's been a blessing. So
well, that was my mentality as well. I sort of didn't want to get too dejected before you start, because going to the review course, you hear some of the presenters will say, I passed it on my second time, or something like that, and you're saying, wow, I mean, this person seems really intelligent. They're here teaching the class, and they're telling us they had to take it more than once. So you just got to, like I say, keep it in perspective and just keep your confidence about it.
or lock yourself up in a log cabin for a couple months. That's my favorite story. Cool. Any other last tips for our hungry viewers looking for ways to help them pass this test? Any other words of wisdom?
I mean, I would talk with other attorneys that have taken it, and I found it actually helpful to talk with other attorneys that were board certified in other areas, not specifically about obviously the formats of the test or anything, just about their strategy, their thoughts. And I found that to be helpful. I had a couple partners that were board certified in other areas, so they were extremely gracious with their time and giving me their experiences and kind of preparing me for what was to come. So it was very helpful. But I would encourage everyone to look into it. I think it was It was an incredible process, only for the reason that it's re-educating yourself on all these different areas, and sometimes you don't have the time to go back and review every single area unless it pops up in a case. So it's always good, I think, to have that breadth of knowledge, and I think that the studying and the preparation definitely has made me a better attorney with more knowledge of the areas within family law.
Cool. And Russ, you still, I see you're board certified mediator. You still doing mediations in Central Florida or all over
I
Florida
am.
with Zoom? What's the
Yeah,
deal?
we're still doing mostly virtual mediations these days, but we've got plenty of room in the office if people want to come in and do them in person. So yeah, we're still doing the mediations. Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the long-term impact. And I think you're going to see UMCs stay at Zoom, evidentiary hearings come back live. This is just me pontificating. And mediations, you either love it or hate it. And I see some dinosaurs that can't share a screen and get very frustrated. And I see some attorneys that see the benefit of having their computer and all their files in front of them as they're chatting. So interesting times ahead to see how we manage these changes.
Absolutely.
Well, Russ, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, and we appreciate it. And congratulations. Not everybody passes this test, and in fact, you're in the minority. So congratulations and welcome to the club.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks again for having me.
Russell, thank you for your time.
All right, you take care.
Thank you for joining us for this month's edition of Stephen Squibb's Monthly Family Law CLE. We hope to see you again next month. In the meantime, do something that matters. Visit www.eddiestevens.com for more information.